is Joseph Patterson.
My name is Mrs. Grant.
I'm the president of the UIC, which is Jamaica's official third political party in Jamaica. So you know that Jamaica have two main parties, right?
Yeah.
So this one is the newest one on the block.
Yeah.
We're committed to fixing the problem that they have not fixed in the last 7 years.
Me again did it great, and how far me are coming from, and me no reach it. Me no upset, cause how far me are coming from, and me no reach it. Me happy when me dem, me nah worry, me nah fret. I saw the thing go, I saw life set, me nah get upset, no. How far me are coming from, and me no reach it. Me happy when me dem, me nah worry, me nah fret. I saw the thing go, I saw life set, me nah get upset, no. Me never understand when me little and I go. If me throw out a door, that means say me poor. And when hunger speak and none of the house to eat, me just go find a fruit tree. Water on like an ancient story in a me grandmother arm. Laughter and love true riches na me panties calm alone on one. Early morning, wake up, pick up and back up himself. After that, go draw the water from the well, wash up my body, touch me clothes, we got school, go spell. Me mad, I no money alone, need to young fan knowledge as well. And my father woulda kick me down if no waste money and get expelled. How far me I come from and me no reach it. Me happy when me dem, me nah worry, me nah fret. I saw the thing go, I saw life set, me nah get upset, no.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. My name is Joseph Patterson, and tonight we have a very special program for you. We'll be discussing the question of Obia in Jamaica and its African connection and roots. And we will have two very important guests on tonight, Dr. Claudette Anderson and another gentleman, Gerald Easy from Igbo land in Nigeria, and both of them are going to be sharing their knowledge with us. I'm sure many of us in Jamaica are not particularly very aware of maybe the history of the subject and some of the technicalities around it, even though we're all familiar with it culturally in one way or another. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Welcome to all of you who are on the live tonight. I see Juliet, Janet, For the Truth, Norman Clark, Magallian, Zarek Neal, and others joining us. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. So go ahead and like now and subscribe and share so all your friends and family can be a part of this very important discussion. There are also some legal matters around this, for example, laws, colonial laws that exist and how that interacts with the whole matter of this aspect of our Africanness. So let me welcome on stage right away. We only have 45 minutes. Dr. Claudette Anderson, PhD, and Mr. Gerald Easy. Please welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. I guess that's Mr. Who just answered?
Gerald Eze.
Okay, just want to be sure. Yes. And Dr. Anderson, you're there as well, right?
I am.
Wonderful. Before I get into, what you know about the subject, I think it's good if our audience would hear a little bit about who you are as individuals. My information tells me that Claudette Anderson, PhD, is the executive director and professor of Obia at UNIAACL Foundation. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Sorry? Unuchi. All right.
And Uno, as in Uno.
As in Uno. Okay. Obia at UNIAACL Foundation, an Afro-Atlantic religious reparations resource nonprofit. Her research focuses on African indigenous systems of knowledge and African-derived religions in the Anglophone Caribbean. So we're looking forward to hearing from the goodly doctor on that subject area. Then there is Mr. Gerald Easy. He's a research fellow at NAMDI. Did I get that right? NAMDI?
Yes, Namda Zikiwe.
Namdezikwe University, beautiful, Akwa, Nigeria. A multi-instrumentalist in both Western and Igbo musical instrument. He has performed and lectured around the world, including the outstanding concert at David Zwinner Art Gallery, New York. He was recently a resident at the prestigious Art AME residency in New York. He is also the founder of the Uchoku Academy, which provides music education to Nigerian youth grounded in Igbo African cultural system. Welcome to you both, and thanks again for joining us on UIC Liberty TV and One Jamaica TV and other platforms as well. Let me begin with you, Dr. Anderson. What is this all about? The matter of, Obia and you being a doctor of this area.
First of all, thanks for having us, and let me apologize. We got caught on the road, and hence no video.
Yes.
So this word that has been in our culture for so long and so misunderstood for so long, I decided that I was going to take it on and try to figure out what it is. And I was led to obviously various African systems, but the Igbo system, this is Nigeria, southeastern Nigeria, seems to be the easiest way to access what Obia or Obia truly is, and therefore I have brought a delegation of Igbos to Jamaica to have a tour of Jamaica, to reconnect us to the motherland, and to have a conference. We're having a conference on Monday the 28th all day at the IOJ, the Institute of Jamaica downtown, where we'll be educating people about what Obia was and what Obia is, what it was, that is before slavery and colonization, and basically how it's changed and how we can access it now. The work of Unochi Foundation is a work of knowledge reparations. So there's this whole discussion about reparations, and people tend to talk about money. But if you have money and you don't love yourself, you're unhappy. So our work is about knowledge reparation. We want to help people remember what this word meant to our ancestors before they were kidnapped and enslaved and beaten and raped and Christianized. And that reparation, I believe, will help people to begin to love themselves more, because once you understand yourself, you love yourself. And so this is, in basic terms, the work of the foundation. Mr. Eze is an Oja master. This is an instrument that is a spiritual instrument in Nigeria. He has opened an academy to teach this traditional instrument. And so the work of spirituality in Igbo land is very much related to this instrument. And I will ask him to introduce himself, to speak about the instrument, and we're going to enter the conversation about Obia from the relationship between the Oja and the practitioner of medicine in Igbo land, who is known as a Dibia, from which the word Obia comes. Mr. Eze?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. So I am a researcher and performer and teacher in Nigeria, and I play the instrument called Oja. Most Igbo musical instruments are spiritual in their nature, just like most African musical instruments. And they are used for storytelling. And when these drums or flutes are played in festivals, it's not just for the rhythm of 4/4 time or 3/4 time, like people have learned through understanding of Western music. When these drums and flutes and trumpets, traditional African instruments, sound in festivals, they are giving people therapy, healing. And that is why specific kind of woods are used for carving the drums, constructing the drums, and specific kind of animal skins are used. And when people come to such festival and gather, a lot of people leave um, healed. So the oja in the Igbo culture is one of such important musical instrument made of wood, and it speaks. It's a speech surrogate instrument, and so it can call your name as far as your name has tones. And if your name does not have tone, it can assign tone to your name. For instance, if your name is Emeka, the Oja will call you like Emeka with a name. And if your name is Anthony, the Igbo culture will give your name a tone, Anthony. And therefore the Oja can now call you Anthony. But when the Oja calls you, whether you are Emeka or Anthony or whoever, it is calling you to speak to you, to speak to your spirit, to speak to your chi. And when it speaks to you, it is propelling you for action. It is asking you to do something, or it is instructing you. And so the Oja can ask you to go ahead, that there is no fear, and praise you and call you important names. It can also call you and make you understand your environment, that there is danger. But let me move straight to the special role of the Oja, having established that it is a speech surrogate instrument. One of the most prominent role of this instrument in Igbo culture is how it comes to the service of the Dibia. The Oja speaks to the Dibia about the environment, and also elevates him to higher planes and truth. But then, who is this Dibia? The Dibia is a mystic, a healer, a thinker, a leader. So most Igbo societies, for instance, my town, Umuchu, in Anambra State, and Nigeria, the traditional head of my town, before the colonial masters came, the traditional head of my town was a Dibia. So he wasn't a political leader. A Dibia is also a leader. He was a spiritual leader.
How do you spell that word?
Dibia.
Dibia. Dibia.
Dibia.
Dibia. Dibia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So in the work of healing, the Dibia needs this classical music from Oja to connect to plants and discern which plant to pick, because the Oja can speak to his inner spirit. When the Dibia is trying to divine what we call Alpha, to say this is what will happen to the community, or this is why something bad is happening, or this is, whenever the Dibia has to divine, divination of any sort, the Oja helps the Dibia to think deep into the spiritual matters presented before him. So for most functions of the Dibia, the Oja elevates him to higher planes and truth. I've been able to establish that this instrument functions in the society, calls people by what they do. If you're a master performer, if you're a warrior, if you're a master drummer, if you're a healer like the Dibia, whatever you do, it calls you by it. And then I've now established that the Oja is an instrument that connects to the Dibia in his work. And so it's interesting that in 2024, I am in Jamaica with the Oja and Obuaka. These are two important Igbo musical instruments. And as part of this tour, we visit schools and I show school children musical instruments, teach them folk songs that have morals, that teach, because folk songs in Igbo culture is used for education. Yes. So, and this Dibia tradition, they are leaders, they are thinkers. But there is another version of it called Dibia. The Dibia is the one who learns this craft, and they are the ones who can do good or bad. But the real Dibia, who did not learn it, has a staff of authority called Ofo. And any Dibia with this Ofo cannot go against the land. And the natural laws of the land stand on the principles of equity and justice. We call it Ofo na Ogu. Most people my generation do not know this. Even people older do not know this. Because Nollywood, the Nigerian Nollywood, for instance, demonized the Dibia tradition. They were showing the Dibia as the Dibia. So you want to poison someone, you go to the Dibia, the one who doesn't have a staff of authority.
How do you spell that? How do you spell that one?
NWA, then Dibia. Dibia.
NWA.
Yes.
And then Dibia after that, right? Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
So he doesn't have any staff of authority. So he knows that he can really do anything and go away with it. And he has, learned the mystic ways. So he can manipulate things. So people go to him for good and for bad. But Nollywood presented this Dibia as Dibia.
Okay.
And in most Nollywood movies, there will be trouble in the traditional community, and a guy with sneaker, or rather trousers and the shirts with tie, will walk into the community with the Holy Bible and come to the village square. Once he raises the Holy Bible up, there will be thunder and a big tree will fall and the Dibia will, die in his, there was always this putting the Christian community against the traditional Igbo systems.
Mm-hmm.
So this presentation of the Igbo Dibia tradition has been confronted. Some people have taken time to, say, no, this is not it. You are lying to the people. You are showing the people a bad narrative of their culture. And even though the Dibia or the Dibia is not criminalized, there is now a stigma to the entire cultural practice.
It is stigmatized. But hold on, Mr. Izzy. Eze, thank you. While this is going on, it is the government of Nigeria, who is supposed to be independent of the colonial masters, who are allowing this stigmatization to take place by importing or continuing the colonial Eurocentric ideas and pitting one against the other, using even entertainment. Do I understand correctly? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not saying that the government is sponsoring it,
Mhm.
but the freedom that the creative filmmakers have
Mhm.
are not checkmated, and they
Are
are
not what?
telling
Are not what?
Checked. They're not checked.
They're
that
not checked.
freedom
The
is not
freedom isn't
checked,
checked.
is
Okay.
not regulated.
But
But today
mhm.
people are becoming conscious. I
Right.
tell you, my brother, if you talk down on the Igbo tradition today on
Mhm.
social media, people will lynch you with their mouth.
Okay.
There is now,
So the people have risen up on their own to reclaim their culture. That's what you're saying.
yes, to reclaim
Yes.
their culture. And I
Mhm.
think this is now happening all over the world, which is why a traditional musician like myself is being invited to Jamaica to perform Igbo music, talk about Igbo culture, teach kids in school, teach them Igbo songs,
Mhm.
so they know their African roots, so that some criminal doesn't come and tell them lies about it. That this
Mhm.
instrument is what you play, and the witch will come out. All that's false fantasy.
Right. Right.
Now I'm
So
saying that
how
this
long will you be
Oja
in
is an
Jamaica? How long will you be in
yeah,
Jamaica?
I'll be in Jamaica until the 29th.
29th of this month. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Continue. This is quite informative, by the way. I mean, what we have just learned from you at a high level is that there are, well, the word Obia comes from Dibia.
The Dibia
Um, sorry,
Yes, it comes from the Dibia tradition of the
the
Igbo.
Dibia tradition of our African friends of
Yeah.
Igbo
um,
tribe, the
Of,
Igbo
Igbo
eth-
ethnic
tribe,
of the
group.
Igbo ethnic
the
nationality.
Igbo ethnic tribe, and then but there's a counter force known as the Nadibia,
Nwa
right?
Dibia. Nwa Dibia, the one who
Dibia,
learns it.
It's a Dibia. So
Yes.
this counter one is not really authorized to do what it does, but it has the power to do it to some extent, both good and evil, right?
Yes.
Yes. So what we're learning here is that the same thing that was done to us, our ancestors as slaves, then the
Mhm.
British went over into Nigeria and they did the same thing. So the
Mhm.
African culture has been demonized both in the islands and on the continent. And
Right.
so now we're respelling, we're retaking, we're reclaiming,
Mhm.
we're changing the narrative about what people have said about us. And so
Mhm.
this is why we're here doing this respelling Obia conference. That we in this time now have recognized that somebody else has written the books, and we've been
Mhm.
reading the books that have said negative things about us. And so we're trying to reclaim and to recover and to repair what
Mhm.
has been damaged in our psyche and in our culture about our own spirituality. So,
Excellent.
yes,
And one way
Obia,
of
the
doing
word
it. Mhm.
Obia comes from the Dibia. Dibia actually means a master
Of
of
wisdom.
wisdom.
Mm.
So, this is a system of knowledge that existed in Africa before Christianity.
Mhm.
Dibia is a master of wisdom. Obia is one who has wisdom, one who has mastered wisdom. The difference between the Dibia and the Obia is that while the Dibia will stay in his local environment, the Obia is a traveling doctor. So
Mhm.
this is why the word would end up in Jamaica, because we were coming and going. The healers were traveling. I'm going to give you an example, right?
Mhm.
We have learned this song, Kumbaya, right? You know the song,
Yes.
Kumbaya.
Mhm.
Okay. There is a place on the coast of Georgia called Igbo Landing. This is a site where Igbos who were captured landed in the coast of Georgia and decided they were having none of this. And so they killed the captain, a couple other people, and they jumped overboard and they drowned them.
Mm-hmm. I'm not
It's
hearing
called
you.
Igbo landing. This site is called Igbo landing. Are you hearing me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep going.
The African Americans who inhabit this part of the US have the song that says Kumbaya. They're called the Gullahaiti. Kumbaya, Kumbaya. The word beer in Igbo actually means come. So this song that has come down to us became two parts, two languages, come, beer. And notice what they're doing. They're calling on the Obia to come. Come, beer. Someone's dying. Come, beer. Someone's crying. Come, beer. Someone's being raped. Come, beer. Someone's being whipped. Come, beer. And so we're going to have you listen to this song on the Oja, which is the flute. Listen, when he says it's a speech surrogate instrument, let us hear him. This is what our African ancestors were singing because they were calling on their healers to come and help them. And so the word was never a negative word. It's a word that was used to call for help. The people who knew how to heal, they were being called on to come and help our ancestors during this horrible time.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Are you going to play that for us now, you're saying?
Yes, I'm going to do
Please
that,
go
but
right
I
ahead.
know that the audio sometimes doesn't transmit through some platforms. So I'm going to try to see if you hear it. If you hear it, then I can go ahead.
Okay, I'll give you a thumbs up.
Can you hear that?
Very good.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised. Okay. So the spirit of the ancestors are with us. This is the audio. I'm going to play it. Okay. But before I play it, I want to point out that during the era of slavery, the traditional instruments were taken away from the African ancestors. It's important that Africans understand this because in a number of departments of music across Nigeria, the study of indigenous instrument is not serious enough. And that is why I had to create an academy to teach not even university students, but kids how to play African instrument. And we encourage them to be very inclusive. If the kid wants piano, we go ahead with piano. But if the kid comes in, the kid will also see, the child will see the Obwaka, the Oja, the Kora, the Mbira, the Eba, the African instruments, so that you make a choice. So this instrument is still in our hands, and it's important that we not only listen to the music, it's important that we become aware of the spiritual essence. It's also important that we understand the surrogate languages because they were codes with which our ancestors communicated to the spirit world, because we believe in that. We believe that we are not here alone, and that is not a bad thing to believe. We are not here alone. And so Kumbaya is that spirit that is with me, that spirit that surely always protects me because it is from me and of me. Come, Kumbaya, come, Bia. That spirit that, if I play my drum, will really come, and break, give me even extraordinary powers, and the shackles will break. That spirit that, the enslavers were afraid of and took away the drums. That spirit of intelligence, of innovation that, would make me know the language to play with my oja, with my drum, and the other person will hear it and take action. Come. So come by that spirit, come. So you see, the instrument is intellectual, the instrument is spiritual, the instrument has information.
Excellent.
just played Chukwu Okike, and that is Almighty God. So by invoking the Almighty God, the Spirit is already here with me, because once you call it, it will answer. And I have just said, Chukwu Okike, Okwo Oja Ekenegi, Chukwu Okike, the performer of the Oja greets you. I've just called God Almighty a man worth 9, because 9 is a symbolic number in Igbo culture. And 9 means that one is at peace with his chi and at peace with the Almighty God. And so the enslaved Africans were disconnected from these realities. And what they could now sing was Kumbaya. Kumbaya, yeah, Kumbaya. Thank you.
My brother Gerald, that has been a great blessing for us this evening. I can't tell you how much all of us here in Jamaica appreciate what you've just taught us, what you've just played, and the mark it has left on us in terms of tasting a little bit of our hidden, lost, and distorted culture. Dr. Anderson, do you have anything else you'd like to say on the subject to us, or can I ask you a few questions?
Please, we would rather the questions, because these questions have not been answered. We've been asking questions, and we've never had the answers, and now we do. So Mr. Eze wants to say something, and then we'll take the questions. And particularly for those watching, if people have questions, we really want them to ask so we can answer them as best we can.
Perfect. So all of you out there watching, wherever you are, please type your questions in the chat area if you have any questions at all. I know you're enjoying the content, but see if you can ask some questions as well that will clarify some of it for you. Go ahead, Mr. Issy.
Yeah, so I want to say that in Nigeria, the Dibia, the traditional religions, are not criminalized. It's not a criminal thing to practice, to be a Dibia, or to practice any traditional religion in Nigeria. Even with the excesses of the Nwadibia, that is, those who do not have the staff of authority. And whatever crime they commit, they are convicted for that crime. If they kill someone, if they participate in maybe fortifying thieves or kidnappers, or whatever thing that they do that is criminal, they are arrested according to the laws for that crime. But nothing stops anybody from praying in his house in the way he likes to pray. So I was surprised actually to understand that in Jamaica is quite different. Like the Obia practice is criminalized, and the stigma is so strong that if you say Obia to anybody, they don't even want to talk about it. But in Nigeria, I remember we once in a university at University of Nigeria in Nsukka, there was going to be a conference on witchcraft in a university. And people went all crazy on social media. No, the kingdom of heaven. Oh, these people want to bring darkness. How dare you study witchcraft? And I'm like, there is need to study it, to understand it, because the symbols rule the world. At least understand what this is about before you throw it away.
Wonderful,
So,
thank you. I mean, it's clear that we have been led to dislike much about ourselves, whether it's our color, our continent,
spirituality, or
our spirituality, our history. Which most of us in Jamaica really don't know much of our ancestral history. We just know that we're here today and we're experiencing whatever is happening, but we haven't really taken the time. It is very convoluted and sometimes hard. So the work that you're doing is very, very important to all persons of African descent anywhere around the world. So thank you very much for that. I see one question here online that came in from Samuel Landgren, and Samuel says, does the traditional Igbo spiritual system, Odinani, have any connections with Obia?
of course, even the name Dibia, Obia, it's a it's both are connected. And what we have, part of the evil of the Mwadibia practice, and what I've heard so far that some Obia people do also in Jamaica, like it's part of the prosperity gospel thing with Christians, that someone prepares a charm for you to make money, or someone prepares a prayer for you to make money. For me, they are both criminal. Whether it's a Christian, how can how will a priest tell an African person, a powerful being? An African person is a powerful being. I'm a Catholic. I don't want the priest to tell me that by being a Catholic I'll be rich. If you tell me that, I'll walk out of the church, because I am an Igbo man first. And the
Mhm.
Igbo spirituality is Ofona Ogu, Ordinana. I must not do anything against the natural laws of the earth. I must
Mhm.
condition my body, my spirit in a way that I am a good person and I stand for justice. And once I do these things, I have the reward in doing them, not in proselytizing, not in trying to convert people, not in preaching and talking and talking and talking. So the evil man in me makes me a better Catholic and not the other way around.
Hmm.
So,
Interesting.
whatever Christian religion people are taking up, it's okay if you want to do that. But then it's also very okay if one wants to totally appreciate the traditional systems. And when a child grows and wants to connect to this traditional system, and it is obvious and it is criminalized, you have denied that person a place to stand.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. I wonder if many of our viewers knew that Obia is criminalized in Jamaica. I know the at one point the government of Jamaica was promising to decriminalize that. Do you have any? I think you were born in Jamaica, right, Dr. Anderson?
Yes, yes, I
Where
was.
in Jamaica are
St.
you from
Andrew
originally?
Hills.
Where?
St. Andrew Hills.
Oh, St. Andrew Hills. Okay,
Yes,
and
yes. Red Light, Maryland, Newcastle side, up those hills. Yes,
okay, cool.
yes.
What do you know about the legality of Obia in Jamaica?
So we actually have a petition out. Um, if you type unuchi.org and you go on our website, you will see we have a
Mhm,
petition out to decriminalize Obia. So I
mhm,
want to explain to people what actually happened, and the absurdity of Obia being criminalized still. So imagine yourself, just you alone. I want everybody who is listening, just imagine somebody's beating you up. Every day you wake up. Well, let us start from even Africa. This young boy, Aniaso, for example, who was kidnapped by his sister's paramour, led tricked and led to the ship, right? You're in chains. Somebody puts you in chains, they put you in a boat. When you get out the boat, they're beating you up, they're raping you, and of course, you're gonna call on the gods that you know. You were doing okay where you were, right? Nobody was raping children, nobody was beating children. You were doing Oninala. You had your 4 market days, you had your calendar, you were doing what you were doing. And here you are in this strange place. You're being beaten, you're being raped, every day. And you decide you're going to fight back. And of course, you're going to use what you have, what you know. So you're going to be praying to your God. You have your own system of knowledge. You're going to use that knowledge, right? And then the person who is beating you, who shouldn't fight back. You should just sit down and be raped every day and be beaten every day and stay in your chains. If you try to free yourself, you are evil. I wonder if you're hearing me.
Yeah, man. Servants obey your master.
Yes, the Taki Rebellion of 1760. Whereas Mr. Eze was saying, Kumbaya, it's very bad. Things are bad. You're calling on the Obia to come. Come and help us. Come and help us. And by the way, only the Dibia that has that staff of authority can be Superman. And I'm just using the analogy.
Yeah.
When you see Superman fly
from Africa.
that's the original Obia man. This is a prototype of the Obia man. It is only if you have that staff that you can come when you are called. Right? So the Obia comes and you start rebelling. Jamaica has had the most rebellions in the history of slavery. I don't know if my listeners know that. We did not sit down. We were always working at freeing ourselves. And when it got too much, because they didn't understand what was happening, because this technology was lost to them. Now they have guns, right? But they're wondering, but how come the bullet is bouncing off tacky? What is happening here? They became afraid. How come every time we come, we get poisoned, right? This is the side of Obia. And I'm going to stop here to say that force, we know when we talk about Obia in Jamaica, it's this notion of this invisible thing that comes somehow and, you wake up one morning, your foot big or something. This is the Dibia Nisi, that Noah Dibia aspect. Who has the power to do invisible things, good or evil. But that's only one side of the practice. You have Dibia Fa, right? You have Dibia Ogu. This is the herbalist that kept our ancestors alive when there was no doctor. Because we didn't have any doctors. How come we exist today is because of Obia Ogu. The Dibia who came to remind us that you can use this herb, you can use this herb, you can use. Then you have the Dibia Aja, the one who does the sacrifice and the sacraments, right? But because the Dibia Nise, the one who does the poison, was the one that was affecting the slaveocracy, then the term becomes used in a negative sense. They didn't reference the other three aspects that were keeping the slaves alive in this gross mortality. Even we were dying, right? So here you have these people, and then these white people are wondering, what is this energy? We don't understand it. So you know what we're gonna do? Divide and this. We're gonna ban that because, as Mr. Eze said, an African man is a powerful man. An African person is a because we have connection to those forces. Because what Odinani is a force field of living, of walking the earth. So our ancestors had a knowledge system that was related to the 4 forces. This is why there are 4 types of Dibia. This is why the Obia man is a 4. So 4 eyes, and to see what's going. This is a traditional primal system of knowledge. So here you are fighting back with this knowledge that you have, and the person who is beating you says it's wrong for you to fight back. You should just sit down and get raped every day and get beaten every day. This is how come Obia was criminalized in 1760 at the Taki Rebellion and has remained on the, this is 2024. This is 2024. And we're still saying that our ancestors were evil people for fighting for their freedom. This is what it means to have Obia criminalized on the books, to say it was wrong for our people to fight for their freedom. And I want people to, this is very important for people to understand the context in which Obia was criminalized. The context was a context where we wanted people to stop raping us and beating us and chaining us and quartering and drawing us. You have one horse to your right hand, one horse to your left hand, one to your right foot, one, and they woohoo, and you're ripped in four. That we were supposed to sit down and take that and not rebel, and that when we did, we became bad people. This thing needs to be understood within that context. Because if people, so what we're saying is that you're disregarding your ancestors, you're disregarding the people who were killed, who died, and you're not commemorating that aspect of the tradition. For the biomedical system only came into being after emancipation. How did we keep ourselves alive for all that time? How? And now our tradition is alternative. It was alternative when it was saving us. So the Dibia Ogu, the herbalist, who knew the herbs and knew how, because there was no doctor treating us, we had to figure out how to keep ourselves alive. And we don't privilege that aspect of the tradition. We don't privilege it. We don't privilege the knowledge system that allows, when the mother is crying and she goes and she says to the revivalist, somebody has kidnapped my daughter. And the revivalist goes into her knowledge system and says, go to that house at that address, that is where your daughter is. Nobody talks about that aspect of the practice. The divination aspect of the practice, where you use the knowledge that you have for good. This too is Obia. It is not just the poisons. So somebody Obia me, somebody. Why don't you say Mother Obia you when she heal you? Why isn't that talked about? Right?
You know, I would like to add something. In Nigeria, do you know the people who go to the Dibia to get a charm to kill the other person? The traditional practitioners keep saying this thing, and for many years, at least for the past 7 years that I started studying the Igbo musical instruments, then going to the villages, you know, they say that the people who come to them to ask them to do bad charm are Christians. I need to say this. In Nigeria, the people who come to this Madibia to say, my neighbor, I want to make the leg of my neighbor to swell, is a Christian. You know why? The traditional practitioners know that it is evil, it is a crime against the land, and they practice ordinana. So by their religion, they wouldn't do that. And it was so hard for me to believe. But at a point, when you even look within your own family and you see bad energy, maybe from hate or manipulation, and then you can understand that these people are not lying. So the like I said, what I like that we do in Nigeria is, if you are a pastor and you rape someone, you will be arrested for the rape. Your church, you know, the religion that you belong to will not be stopped. If you are a Mwadibia or Ezewany or whatever, worshiper of Orisha or Agwo, and you do anything criminal and you are caught, you will be convicted for that act. You know, and it also starts as deterrence for others that may want to go into it. And then I want to end with this. for now, except that there is another question. I want to end with this. I said it earlier, and I want to make it clear: the African person is rich. The African person is powerful. He is only afraid of telling his story, owning his narrative, and believing who he is. Dr. Anderson just gave an example of the Dibia with his offer and described him as Superman. If the African person understands what he has and is proud of it, that is when he can make a lot of money in the arts, in the movies, in anything, in animation industry. We have better cartoon stories, but we don't even know the story. We have better cartoon stories that can civilize the world, that can humanize the world, but we don't even know the stories to start with. So it's about that awareness, education. So I'm not a freedom fighter, I'm a teacher.
Thank you so much.
I don't see any fight. I only see reasons to keep enlightening people with my music. If it's 2 people that hear it, I'm blessed.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to call you Brother Izzy. Thank you very much for that. And Dr. Anderson, thank you so much for sharing with us today. I'm seeing the comments online. Everybody has been blessed. We have been informed. We have been just really motivated here tonight to re-embrace our African culture, our Africanness. You'll be happy to know that the UIAC is all about reconnecting us with our heritage and bringing back to life what has been beaten out of us, what has been stripped from us, what has been denied us. And a part of that problem, of course, is not just the colonizers, but the colonized, or leaders who decide that they want to prefer what the colonial masters, brought, as opposed to using the so-called independence we now have to re-engage with our Africanness and to engage in the process of re-education and bringing back to the fore the powerful knowledge set that has been lost to our people. So I want to thank you both again for joining us tonight, and I look forward to a part 2 where we can get into some more of this. It's a pity we have another program in 6 minutes, so we have to go now. So thanks again. If you have 30 seconds to give a last word, Dr. Anderson, and then Brother Gerald Essing, you may go ahead. 30 seconds.
Please come to the conference on Monday or watch it. It will be live streamed. Go to our website, unuchi.org. You will post it there, and you will where the link will be posted, so you can watch the entire conference and watch a Dibia talk. So please, it's about education and advocacy. Right time now. Since 1760 till now, we have to change things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I saw a comment. Someone was asking, how do we reach the Oja performer? I will be live in this conference. I'll be performing, and I'll tell stories from the motherland and play Igbo music. So come there. You can also follow me. Check my activities on Instagram. Official Gerald Eze. You can go to my website to geraldezemusic.com and send them email. I will receive it. And so
let me get the website properly here. What's the website again?
Unuchi Foundation for the conference. UNUCHI, right?
CHI Unuchi
Foundation.
Unuchi.org.
Sorry, unuchi.org. No foundation.
Oh, unuchi.org. Okay, so .org. So it's www. I'm writing it here. I'm going to put it for all of you who are watching. It's UNUCHI, right?
Yes.
So I'm posting it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone, that's the website. You can click on it and get the information for the conference, and make sure we all attend to hear some more about our lost history and culture. Thanks again, both of you, and we look forward to another opportunity to talk.
Wonderful. Happy to be here, and thank you also.
My pleasure. Take care. All right, we're going to close off now. I'll see you again in about 4 minutes when we move to our next program, I like to call it the Kevin Nelson Show. We're going to be talking about what's happening in the polls with the UIC now at 16% and what that means for the movement going forward. So see you soon. Bravo, says Christine Simpson. Enough claps from Durban, Cambone, and all of you enjoy the program. Thank you for being here again tonight. Take care until next time in about 4 minutes.